Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Erase Domestic Violence show at womenlines.com. Yes, friends, at Let's Erase Domestic Violence show, we are committed to bring out those stories who have come out of the abusive relationship and they are on their own and successfully leading their life. Today, we are having A.R. Alexander from USA, who is a family nurse practitioner and who is an author of a book, Neophyte State. Welcome, Audrey, to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time. So, Audrey, can you share what you think is important for people to know?
Yes, number one, there is always a way out. No, I shouldn't say there's always a way out. There are people that will help you out. I want that to be the big key is that you feel trapped and you feel alone because your abuser has made you feel that way. They've manipulated you and they've brainwashed you. But if you actually speak out, there will be people that will help. I mean, neighbors, there are all kinds of resources in our country, but don't feel alone. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest lie that they've put in you. Don't feel alone.
That's a strong message, Audrey, because yes, we have to create that awareness in all those ladies who are facing this every day that there is hope and you can do it because there are women who are doing it and coming out and standing on their own. Can you share how that experience impacted you and then how you came out of it and how you survived on your own? What exactly helped you?
Um, Honestly, my friends, I was so surprised because I didn't use any resources. I actually had a career as a registered nurse. So I was able to support myself on my own. That was the one thing that I was lucky with. I mean, some women are trapped to where they're not allowed to work, or people, any person in an abusive relationship, no matter, what gender, they might be trapped and not be allowed to work. So I was lucky in that aspect. But I found that once I opened up and actually told my friends and family what were going on, that everything my husband had told me was a lie. Um, they helped me. They helped me through it, through the steps to keep me safe, um, and to help me get stable on my own in my own home with my daughter. So that's and sometimes I do want to say the terrifying part is you fear for your life. My abuser actually ended up shooting himself in the head in front of me. He was 6 feet from me whenever he came into my home and shot himself. So I'm actually in a very low percentile because normally the abuser shoots the estranged
Yep.
spouse and then themselves. So it can be terrifying, and it was because he had threatened my life multiple times. But the biggest thing is whenever you realize that they are lying to you, that there are people that care about you other than them, that there are people that will listen and will help. That's the biggest thing that people need to realize is that there is a much larger support system, even if there aren't resources, just humanity in general. People care about each other and will help.
Beautiful. I think that's a very powerful statement you have done that humanity connects us, right? We all are same. It's all upon us how much we trust. Maybe in such situation that trust factors goes down because the person has seen so much abuse in life that takes her to such a downfall that it's very hard for her to believe on other. So
Mhm.
friends, those who are in this situation, come out of it, trust your friends, trust your neighbors, speak about it, and just don't be in silence. So, Audrey,
Right.
any particular thing you remember, any particular uh, some course helped you, or you listen to some audio or some podcast which helped you? You want to share something about that journey when you were so down and then you worked upon yourself for your daughter, and now you are an author also. So, what you want to share about your book also after this answer? What book you have written?
Honestly, the reason why I wrote the book is because I wanted my daughter and other young women. I I wanted to try to express to her to be independent and strong and discover herself and not complete herself in a relationship. But I wanted to do that, excuse me, in a way that didn't expose her to my trauma. And she was an avid reader at the time, so I thought that I would just I would write her a novel as a gift to try to express that education in a creative way without making her feel like I was damaged or something, without her having the understanding of what domestic abuse was. And secondly, honestly, it was her biological father that had done it, and I didn't want to, even though he was an abuser, I still didn't want her to have to hear that about her dad. So that was the
Definitely.
journey for the process for the book. Uh, so like, I was in the relationship for about 9 years um, before I finally left. Uh, and I think the journey of all of it is there, the shame and the embarrassment, and there is just a moment of awakening, and I'm not sure everybody's is different, like,
Definitely.
um, but I hope that maybe this will be a moment of awakening for somebody and they can realize that it's okay to just take that step out the door. And unfortunately, I mean, there are so many countries, and even in this country, where I mean, we're not protected like we should be. And that's what I hope that this will help bring light to, is that there needs to be more protection. There needs to be more resources. One reason, like in my area, there is one woman shelter. That's it.
Oh,
One
okay.
for a very large area. And so right now, let's just say somebody leaves, the shelter's full
Yeah.
right now. So there needs to be more, like I said, more
Resources,
resources.
more resources.
So, but like I was saying, though, I believe that even if you go and tell your neighbor, because like I found out, like whenever it was all said and done, I actually had a little lady. She was probably, oh, I don't know, probably late 70s, mid, early
Mm-hmm.
80s, something like that. When m- my ex-husband had come over and he shot himself, and she came over afterwards, and she said, if I had known what was going on, you should have come over, with your daughter. You should have come to the house.
House. She could have helped you.
And and so that's what I think a lot of people don't realize, is you can, like, you don't realize that there are still so many good people out there that will help, even though, like I said, there's not resources. Just people in general still
They
love
are there.
people. So, like, I mean, tell somebody,
And there are
you
people
know.
who are ready to help. There are people
Yeah,
who can be a guide to you. There are people who can take you to that shelter home or some resource which can take you further to come out from the challenges. So it's
oh
all
yeah,
about pushing yourself to take the decision to step out and support yourself on your own.
yeah. And like I said, it's terrifying. It really is. It is utterly terrifying, especially whenever you tell people, you fear for your life, and that's not taken seriously. And I'm not sure how that is in other countries, especially where there's more of a male dominant rule in other countries. You have that fear, um, and that just has to change. It just has to change.
Definitely.
So hopefully, like, you doing this is an amazing thing to, spread the awareness that
Thank
there
you.
needs to be more support for those that are in the domestic violence situation.
Thank you. I really want to put my heart and soul to help out those ladies because what I think many are not coming out of fear. And I want to showcase people like you who have faced that fear, worked upon themselves, and now leading a life of success. And there's a whole life there which they can live beautifully, which they are not able to do now. So I'm really hopeful your message reaches out to that segment and they come out of their challenges in life. Can you share some barriers you faced while this journey happened? And you remember some barriers which were there, which you want people to change, or some certain barriers you have faced in your journey?
I think the biggest barrier, is the fear because of the lack of protection. That's one of the
Okay.
biggest barriers. And that uh, there was a case in our country where a woman, matter of fact, was just imprisoned because she ended up killing her husband. And the judge said, you could have left safely. And whenever you looked at the evidence, there was no way she could have left safely. She'd been hospitalized many times, beaten many times. He had weapons in the home. And it was just that's the biggest, I think the biggest thing is that there isn't enough protection. The whole, restraining order, piece of paper doesn't stop an abuser. Uh, there needs to be more accountability for abusers. There needs to be
I think there needs to be fear for the abuser. Something should be happening around the world so that that fear is generated in the abusers so that they don't dare to do this.
yes, exactly. Like I said, there
Something
needs
has to be
that
done.
accountability where they're, it's like you've done this. We're not going to fine you. We're not going to slap you on the wrist. We're going to put you in jail. We're
Something.
going to hold you accountable for your abuse to this person. Um, if you kidnapped a person and you took them into a home and you did those things to that person that an abuser does to someone, they would be put in prison for years. But
Definitely.
because you're in a relationship, that all of a sudden changes, the whole outlook on what the punishment is, and it shouldn't be. It's the same thing as, kidnapping and torture. Um, and that's the thing that I think is the hugest barrier, is there is not enough accountability on the abuser's part. Um,
Rightly said. I think this is a very concerned topic because once this fear is generated in the abuser, I think things will be stopped and they will be careful about their deeds, what how they're treating their partners. We'd love to know about your book, Audrey. You want to share about the book which you have written? We will be sharing the link where people can buy that book in the content section. Please share about the book.
well, it is a young adult dystopian novel. It centers around the main character, who is a 16-year-old female. She basically, let's see, it's in a futuristic world, obviously.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be kind of more of a strong female book. I mean, men and young boys can enjoy it too, but the world is actually led by what's called the Disciple Council. It's 7 very strong women. They have what's called a memory gene, where they have memories of the past events of the Great Island instead of written word. And she just kind of journeys through, discovering herself and realizing that the world that she's in is not what it should be, and
Interesting. Sounds
works
very
to try to change it. So
fantastic. So, friends, do check out the link to buy this book because this is sounding very interesting. And yes, more power to women folk so that we can have more women leaders across. And I'm sure such books can really help to create those leaders across. So, yes, Audrey, last question. Please share some message for Women Lines audience.
I just want to say that just don't don't let the abuse change the love you have in your heart. That was one of the biggest things that I always said whenever I got out, was I wouldn't ever let it change who I was. I wouldn't let it alter me to be a negative, hateful person. And I think
Thank you.
that's the biggest thing, is just continue to be a loving and positive person.
Thank you. It's a beautiful message. So, all the best, Audrey. I wish you luck. I wish you lots of power and have more success in life ahead. And we look forward for your second book soon.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Thanks for your time.
You too.